Imagine, if you will, being in the middle of a very important conversation. Maybe it's a business meeting, maybe it's a first date, and suddenly, boom, you hit the wall. Your mind goes blank, and you can't think of anything to say. It's a terrible feeling. It's very sad, but don't worry, I've got an incredible solution today that will not only help you keep that conversation flowing, but it's also going to make you more hilarious, more witty, and more insightful in the process. This might sound like science fiction, but there's a fascinating theory that I stumbled upon a while back called the Holonomic brain theory. And this was developed by neuroscientist Carl Pribram at Stanford, I believe in the 90s. In a nutshell, it suggests that our brain functions like a holographic storage system, and that our memories and our cognitive processes are distributed throughout our entire brain. In other words, there is no localized memory in the brain. You can't grab a cluster of cells out of your brain and say, okay, that's where my 7th birthday party is. It's somehow distributed throughout the entire structure, and this could explain how intuition works. Now, intuition, it's a process that works extremely quickly in a process of microseconds. People often say, Jeff, how are you able to come up with these creative things in conversations so quickly without even thinking about it? Well, the short answer is intuition. Intuition will let you come up with new ideas, boom, almost instantly. So this holographic brain theory suggests that our brain basically takes in information from the outside world in the form of waves. And it stores that information much in the same way that a photographic plate stores a holographic image. And when we remember something, we might be decoding these waves. So we can think of intuition as a result of the brain's holographic storage system and how it processes information all at once. So going a bit deeper, here are a couple ways that this theory might explain intuition. Number one, this idea of parallel processing. Your brain can process many different things at the same time, as the holonomic brain theory would suggest. And this ability might let the brain quickly put together information from a wide variety of different sources. And this can lead to intuitive ideas that seem to just sort of pop up suddenly without thinking about them. Right? You know, many creative people and musicians and things like that, they talk about, they don't even feel like they're the initiator of the art. They feel like it's kind of happening through them. And very often when I'm in the middle of a conversation and I come up with some hilarious thing to say, I'm like, where did that come from? I'm actually shocked and surprised. I'm just as surprised as the people I'm talking to. And that's why I laugh. It's like a punchline. Like, oh, that's funny, right? So what's happening here, when these ideas just kind of pop up without you even seeming to do anything, it's the brain might be connecting and recognizing patterns in a faster and more complete way. Okay, so the second idea to take into consideration is that idea of distributed memory. According to the holonomic brain theory, memory is stored in a way where every part of the brain holds a small piece of the whole memory. And this connection allows for easy mixing of different types of information, like memories, emotions, and things that we sense. Intuition might happen when these different pieces of information come together, creating a feeling of understanding that we can't easily trace back to one source. Additionally, there's this idea of non-locality. Again, the holonomic brain theory suggests that our thinking doesn't just happen in one spot in the brain. And intuition might be a result of this, as your brain uses and combines information from different areas at the same time to create a complete understanding or a complete feeling. Beyond that, you get into even weirder aspects of the theory like quantum processes. Some researchers think that quantum processes, which are known for characteristics that are kind of odd, like non-locality, superposition, and again, not to get into some physics lecture here, but they think that quantum effects might be involved in intuitive thinking. These processes could help the brain work with information in a more effective and complete way, possibly leading to intuitive ideas. Now look, the idea of intuition, it's not new, it's been around forever. Right? The ancient Hindu text, the Rig Veda, actually said the phrase, knowledge is structured in consciousness. And Carl Jung actually discussed the idea of a collective unconscious, which contains universal images that he called archetypes that appear in myths and legends across a wide variety of cultures. He believed that creativity and intuition involved a direct link between the conscious mind and these deep archetypal structures. Going even further back, the Greek philosopher Plato thought that the physical world was just a temporary copy of these eternal universal and perfect concepts that he called forms. And our mind, at least Plato said, has inborn impressions of these abstract forms that allow sensory experiences and make knowledge possible. So to Plato, learning was actually remembering. Now, going back to that idea of like quantum effects and so forth, if you're familiar with Bell's theorem, aka spooky action at a distance, Bell's theorem states that two particles can influence each other instantly, even if they are light years apart. And in a holographic universe, human consciousness could be a part of a connected web that could resonate with any part of it when properly tuned. And there's this idea that the higher your level of consciousness, the better you can access intuition. And meditation, the regular practice of mindfulness meditation, is one way to achieve this. Reducing tension and stress in general improves the conditions for intuition. You can do yoga, which is like a physical meditation. But again, anything that creates this sort of coherent nervous system will help you to access intuition more regularly and more readily. It's not something that can be commanded forth or called out of the depths. You can only train, well, there's two ways you can train it. Number one, you can feed it more soft data by having more experiences. But number two, you can exercise the allowing function, right? Again, intellect often wants to second guess it, but you can, again, through regular practice, learn to trust it more and allow these ideas. Now, again, you might be thinking at this point, well, cool, this is all very interesting, but how is this related to me never running out of things to say? Well, by tapping into our intuitive mind, we can access a wealth of information and insights that your conscious mind might not even be aware of. And this means that when you're in a conversation and you run out of things to say, your intuition can kind of come to the rescue, and it can provide us with relevant topics or things to say in that situation, right? That are very engaging. So the question then becomes, how do we unlock our intuition? First, as I said a moment ago, is engaging in a regular practice of mindfulness meditation. By cultivating a state of low arousal and high alertness, you can create that perfect environment for your intuitive mind to thrive. And again, meditation, there's plenty of apps out there. I use one called Waking Up with Sam Harris. There's Calm, there's Headspace, et cetera, et cetera. But whatever one you choose, meditation has been shown to increase nervous system coherence, which can lead to more efficient processing of information, as well as improved intuition. Additionally, just in conversations, just be present and attentive. Presence is absolutely vital for charisma. It's an absolutely vital component of charisma to begin with, but it can also improve your intuitive capacities. Pay close attention to the person that you're talking to, and furthermore, to the context of the conversation. Your intuition will very often pick up on subtle cues and patterns that your conscious mind might overlook. Number three, learn to trust your faculties. Just learn to trust the intuition and not second guess it all the time. When you feel an intuitive insight or an intuitive idea coming on, it's like it's bubbling up from the depths, trust it and just share it in the conversation. That might be just the spark you need to keep the conversation flowing, as opposed to, again, letting the intellect step in and evaluate it for potential usefulness or threat before allowing it access to the external projective modes of the face, the voice, and body. That moment that you take to evaluate it, that's a moment that the conversation's flowing in time, and it's now when you do finally say it, it's going to be like just a beat too late, and it's going to give this impression of second guessing yourself and therefore having insecurity, or more likely what'll happen, you'll realize that it's a beat too late and you'll just remain silent, and now you have run out of things to say. Another thing you can do to improve intuition is simply to reflect on past experiences. Recall, think back, remember situations where your intuition has actually guided you successfully. Again, the more reference experience that I got of it being a valuable resource in conversations, by learning how to acknowledge and appreciate my intuition, I became over time more inclined to rely on it in future conversations. And that's pretty much it. By tapping into your intuition, you can keep conversations flowing and never run out of things to say. Overall, though, I think it's important to remember that this holographic brain theory, while an interesting way of looking at things, it is just one way of understanding intuition and looking at the brain. Understand, our understanding of how the brain actually works is still extremely limited, right? This holographic theory, it's not universally accepted by any means, and of course more research is needed before we truly understand the intricate processes of our brain and how intuition works. Ultimately, I like to think of reason and intuition as two pipes feeding into the same faucet and hopping back and forth between those two in my interactions as I try to deal with, again, problems as they present themselves conversationally. It's like reason works best in a situation where you have all the information, but in a human interaction, you do not have all the information. Even if the other person wanted to give you all the information, they couldn't because of how complex somebody's inner world is. And again, the dynamic changing nature of other people coming in, what's going on in the environment, etc. However, as we've just learned, intuition is a very powerful tool that when harnessed properly can open up a whole new world of possibilities in your conversations. But as with any skill, mastering your intuition requires guidance, it requires practice, and it's going to take patience. That's where my 8-week charisma mentoring program comes in. In this 8-week program, I give you the tools, I give you the strategies that you need to unlock that intuition on a more ongoing basis. It's literally one of the main things that we practice and train in that program. So you can use it to supercharge your social skills, supercharge your charisma, and supercharge your conversations. Click that link in the description below. We'll get started. We'll do it together. All right, this is Jeffy. I'll see you next time.